Welcome back to 22 News in Focus. Today we've been talking about the Massachusetts End of Life Options Act. Andrew Beckwith, president of the Massachusetts Family Institute, who is opposed to the measure, is joining us right now. Andrew, let's discuss some of the points for opposing this law. Many religions are opposed to what they are calling assisted suicide. So is this a social or a moral issue, or both?
No, it's absolutely both. How do we distinguish, for example, between the person who's standing up on a bridge ready to jump and the person who goes to their doctor seeking a lethal injection? We all know we have a moral, a social obligation to talk that person down from the ledge. The same is true for anyone who's seeking suicide. We turn it all on its head if we pass this legislation and say people can go to the doctors and not find healing in life, but death. I was just taking some required training today that talked about what do you do in response to a suicidal ideation. And the answer invariably is to get that person help, mental health resources, and if necessary, take them to a hospital to preserve their life. We all know that when someone talks about killing themselves, that's a real red flag. That's an emergency. Again, this law would turn all those natural instincts on their head and make the hospital not a place of preserving life, but a place of death.
And you mentioned mental health resources. Could you just touch upon that a little bit? What are those resources out there?
Well, if you can call 911, and there's obviously going to be a mental health assessment anytime someone has a suicidal ideation, because, again, whether you're talking to physicians or psychologists, people know that when someone expresses a desire to kill themselves, to end their life, that is a red flag of some sort of underlying mental health issue, depression, anxiety, or some other issue like that. And the proper response is to address the mental health issue, not to then go ahead and help that person kill themselves. That's what this law does, and it runs counter to all the training that any health professional has received, as well as the Hippocratic Oath, which has been with us for thousands of years, that we must do no harm and we must not give someone a poison if they ask for it.
Okay, let's move now to concerns about medical insurance not paying for life-saving treatments for someone with a terminal illness and diagnosis because voluntary death is an option. Can you explain the reasoning behind that issue?
Well, it's a concern that we have because we've already seen it starting to happen. Barbara Wagner in Oregon was, I think back in 2008, she was diagnosed, I believe, with stage 4 cancer. And her insurance company informed her, I believe via letter, that they would no longer pay for her cancer treatments, but they would pay for assisted suicide pills. And more recently, Stephanie Packer, I think at the time of 30-something, mother of 4 young kids in California, same story. Her insurance company didn't want to pay for any future treatments to preserve her life, but they would pay, I think it was $1.70 was the copay for assisted suicide pills in her case. So we've been warning that this would happen, that insurance companies are driven by that bottom line. When you make this an option, it's always going to be the cheaper option, and it would result in people being denied the care they want when they want to live.
Now, Andrew, some who are opposed to the right to die legislation worry that people other than the patient may be making the life-ending decision. So what are your concerns about the possibility of abuse or, misuse?
Sure. Well, one of the real complaints about this legislation from a legal perspective, and I'm a lawyer by training, not a doctor, is that you have to have 2 witnesses to make a request for assisted suicide. But one of those witnesses can be a beneficiary. In other words, can receive money from your estate when you die. So they have a financial incentive for you to end your life. That's wild. Certainly ripe for abuse. And I know from personal experience, some of my beloved elders who have gone on to heaven, that line between, when you get towards the end of life, that line between dementia and sort of eccentricity can kind of be a fuzzy one. And I could see it being very easy to manipulate people who maybe are beginning to have dementia. And this is a way that could take place, again, with someone who stands to benefit financially, sort of coercing someone into requesting assisted suicide pills. And then again, like I said earlier, the death certificate is going to essentially be falsified and not mention it's assisted suicide. So the rest of the family is never going to know what happened.
And I want to ask you, do you think the requirements and protocols in the law, as it's currently written, are not stringent enough in their protections?
I mean, yes, from a legal perspective, certainly not. It's ripe for abuse. But fundamentally, you talked about this being a moral issue, a social issue. We should be finding folks reasons to live and not treating them like they're a burden to society and a burden to their families. And that's, again, what I hear from my colleagues out west, where they have these laws, is that when people are requesting this, it's because they feel like they're a burden. And when this is an option, there are some people who are going to take it just because of that feeling of not wanting to be a burden to their families. We don't want to send that message that older people or sick people or people with disabilities are a burden. They're a vital part of our society, of our communities, of our families, and we need to protect them and protect them in the law.
Okay, I want to ask you, do you have medical professionals who support your view, and how are they helping your efforts?
As I mentioned earlier, there was a letter signed by over 100 Massachusetts doctors, I think late last year, maybe November, who are in total opposition to this legislation. Many of them have been testifying at the State House for almost a decade now. They educate at community libraries and churches and other places where people gather. So there is a large contingent of Massachusetts doctors who are standing against this law, this bill.
Okay. Thank you for your insight, and we're going to hear from you again pretty soon. When we return, we'll discuss how the opposition is preparing to campaign against the right to die law. You're watching 22 News in Focus.